The Monkey and the Turtle, a Tale of Friendship. In a warm forest where sunlight danced through the leaves, lived a young monkey named Loomer. She was fast, playful, and always swinging through the trees. Though many animals liked her energy, she often played alone, too quick, too wild for most. Down near a still pond lived Tico, an old turtle. He was slow and quiet, spending his days watching clouds and listening to birds. Few animals paid him any attention. One day, Loomer landed near the pond, catching her breath. She spotted Tico, sitting still, gazing into the water. "What are you doing?" she asked. "Watching," he replied. "The water shows many things if you're patient." Loomer laughed. "That sounds boring." Still, something in his calm voice made her stay. Day after day, she returned. They talked about flowers, the sky, and the sound of wind in the trees. Loomer learned to slow down. Tico began to smile more. A quiet friendship grew. Then came the storm. Dark clouds rolled in. Rain poured. Loomer, trying to find shelter, slipped and got stuck in thick mud by the pond. The water rose fast. She called for help, her voice shaking. Tico heard her and, despite his slow steps, crawled through the storm. Inch by inch, he reached her and helped free her legs. Together, they found shelter. The next morning, the storm passed. Animals gathered and looked in wonder. "How did the old turtle save the monkey?" they asked. "Because I didn't turn away," Tico answered. "And true friends," Loomer said, "stay even when it's hard." Moral: friendship isn't about speed or fun, it's about care, patience, and being there when it matters. The Kitten and the Mirror of Truth, a Tale of Honesty. In a quiet mountain temple, where the wind whispered through bamboo and tiny bells chimed in the breeze, lived a young white kitten named Nilo. He had soft fur, clean pores, and eyes like polished jade. Nilo was proud of how he looked. Each morning, he padded down to the temple pond, where the water was still and smooth, and he would admire his reflection. "Look at me," he purred. "So neat, so lovely." The monks, gentle and kind, smiled at Nilo but said nothing. They understood that time is a quiet teacher, and truth comes when the heart is ready. One morning, while chasing a butterfly through the garden, Nilo stumbled upon something he'd never seen before, a tall wooden frame, old and carved with small lotus flowers, leaning against the garden wall. In it was a mirror. But this one didn't reflect the sky or leaves, it reflected him. Nilo stepped closer. But what he saw shocked him. His fur looked dull. His ears drooped. His eyes were not shining, but clouded. "What is this?" he gasped. "That isn't me. This mirror must be broken." He ran to Master Lin, the oldest monk. "Master, the mirror is wrong. It shows an ugly, sad kitten." Master Lin looked at him kindly. "That mirror," he said softly, "it does not reflect your fur. It reflects your heart." "My heart?" Nilo whispered, confused. The monk nodded. "Tell me, Nilo, yesterday you pushed the small mouse away at breakfast so you could eat first. You also teased the baby birds by leaping into their nest." Nilo's ears drooped. I did." "The mirror only tells the truth," said Master Lin. "But that truth can help us become better." All day, Nilo thought. He brought crumbs to the little mouse the next morning and let him eat first. He sat quietly under the tree and meowed a soft apology to the birds. He didn't chase anyone. he didn't boast. That evening, Nilo returned to the mirror. His reflection had changed. His fur glowed gently. His ears stood tall. His eyes had softened. He smiled, not in pride, but in peace. From that day on, Nilo still looked into mirrors. But not to admire what others could see. He wanted to check who he was becoming. Moral: honesty begins within. When we're brave enough to see the truth, we find the path to grow. The Young Deer and the Lost Wolf Pup, a tale of helping others. In a quiet forest where fog drifted softly through tall pines, a young deer named Sorai loved to run. His hooves were quick, his eyes bright, and he greeted every morning by racing through fields and leaping over fallen logs. Sorai was fast and curious, but he was also cautious. He had learned from his elders that not all animals were safe. Especially wolves. One crisp morning, as frost still shimmered on the grass, Sorai heard a small, sad sound. A whimper. He paused, ears up. Again, a faint whimper, coming from the underbrush. Carefully, he stepped closer. Beneath a low bush, shivering and alone, was a tiny wolf pup. Its fur was damp from the dew, and its pores muddy. Its eyes were full of fear. Sorai's heart beat faster. A wolf? He had always been taught to run from wolves. But this one was just a pup. And it was trembling. The pup looked at him and let out a small cry. I shouldn't get close, Sorai whispered to himself. But, here. Something inside him pushed him forward. Not fear. Not logic. Just kindness. He stepped gently toward the pup. Are you lost? The pup gave a small nod. Sorai didn't know what to do, but he knew he couldn't leave. He led the pup to a dry patch beneath a pine tree, gathered leaves and moss, and wrapped them gently around the pup to keep it warm. The wolf curled up, eyes slowly closing. Sorai ran to find help. An old owl, wise and watchful, told him she'd seen the wolf pack pass through a valley at sunset. Sorai followed the trail, running faster than he ever had before. Hours later, in a clearing near a river, he found them, the pack, pacing and calling out. The mother wolf howled when she saw her pup curled beside Sorai. She ran to them and licked the pup gently. Then she turned to Sorai, her eyes full. You helped him, she said softly. Even though you were afraid. Sorai nodded, his legs trembling. I saw someone who needed help, he said. And I couldn't turn away. From that day on, the deer and wolves crossed paths differently. No longer only as prey and predator, but sometimes as neighbors, sharing the same forest. Moral: true courage means helping, even when you're afraid. The Little Sparrow and the Rain Cloud, a tale of positive thinking. In a field filled with tall grass and golden flowers lived a little sparrow named Rumi. He was smaller than the others, with feathers that fluffed up too much when he flew, and a song that was softer than most. But what made Rumi different wasn't his size or his voice, it was how he looked at the world. When clouds covered the sun, other birds grumbled. But Rumi would smile and say, now we can rest our wings in the shade. When the wind blew strong and scattered seeds, the others complained. Rumi chirped, more seeds for us to find tomorrow. Some birds called him silly. You always see the good in things, they said. Even when there's none. Rumi just smiled. There's always something good, he replied. Sometimes it just hides. One morning, the sky turned dark. A big storm was coming. All the birds flew to the trees, hiding in their nests. Rain began to fall. Then lightning cracked and thunder roared. Rumi was flying home when a gust of wind knocked him far from his tree. He tumbled through the air, wings flapping, until he landed in a muddy ditch at the edge of the forest. It was wet. It was cold. And it was very far from home. Rumi blinked and shivered. Then he looked up at the sky. The clouds were thick and grey. He whispered to himself, "The rain will help the flowers grow." He looked around. "And maybe," he added, "this place has something to teach me." Just then, a small voice spoke. "Hello." From behind a bush appeared a hedgehog, curled and wide-eyed. "I've never met a bird before," the hedgehog said. "I've never met a hedgehog," Rumi replied, smiling. They talked all evening. The hedgehog's name was Naro. She had never left the forest and didn't know what the meadow looked like. So Rumi told her stories of dandelions dancing in the wind, of warm sunrises, and bees that buzzed like tiny drums. Naro listened, eyes wide. When the rain stopped the next morning, Rumi spread his wings. "I should try to fly back. I'll miss your stories," Naro said. Rumi chirped, "Then I'll come again." He flew home, wet but smiling. The other birds gathered around. "Where were you?" They asked. "We were so worried." "I made a new friend," said Rumi, "and told her about all the beauty out here." The birds blinked. Even after a storm, Rumi had found something good. That spring, Rumi often visited Naro, bringing news and singing soft songs. And slowly, the other birds began to change. When the wind blew hard, they said, "And maybe tomorrow will be calm." When clouds gathered, they whispered, "The plants will be happy." And all because one small bird had taught them that sunshine isn't only in the sky, it's in how you choose to see. Moral: a positive mind turns even rainy days into something bright. The Fox Den. A tale about family. At the edge of a deep forest, where the moss shimmered in the morning light and the trees whispered like a soft song, there lived a little fox named Miko. She shared a cozy den beneath an old oak tree with her mother, father, and 2 siblings. Miko was curious and sometimes a bit impatient. She loved darting through the ferns, chasing butterfly shadows, and asking endless questions about the world. One day, she asked, "Why do we always do everything together? Why can't I sleep in a different burrow? Why can't I find my own path, like a grown-up fox?" Her mother smiled and gently touched her nose. "Because we are a family, Miko. And family sticks together. We care for each other, share our warmth, and give love to one another." But Miko only shrugged. "I think I could do everything on my own." The next morning, just after dawn, Miko quietly crept out of the den. She wanted to prove she was independent and strong. She wandered deep into the woods. At first, she felt brave, like a hero from the stories. She sniffed new scents, leapt over stones, and listened to the birds singing above. But as the evening came, the air grew cold, her belly rumbled. The forest began to look darker than she had imagined. She turned to go back, but all the trees looked the same. She was lost. "Mama," she called softly. "Pupper?" No one answered. Only the wind moved through the leaves. Miko curled up under a bush. Her fur couldn't keep out the chill, and a small tear slid down her cheek. Then, she heard rustling in the brush. "Miko," came a familiar voice. "Are you here?" It was her father. She ran to him. "I found you," Ishi said, though her voice trembled with tears. He wrapped his tail around her gently. "And we've been looking for you all day." When they returned to the den, her mother and siblings greeted her with warm nuzzles and joyful chirps. Inside, the air smelled of pine needles and dry leaves. Miko nestled between them and fell asleep with her nose tucked against her mother's belly. After that night, Miko no longer asked why families stayed together. She knew the answer. Family isn't just about being in the same place. It's about knowing that you belong. That no matter where you are, someone is waiting for you. That home isn't just a burrow, it's the heart that holds you close. Moral: family is like a warm light in the dark. It protects you when you're lost and always welcomes you home.